Yeah.
Alright, so I got us rolling.
So I don't know if Mark is coming or Mark and Kimberly. I know Kimberly said she was Kimberly, I guess, is gonna be on Zoom after.
Kimberly said she was not on Zoom now.
When there was a break, she was
Yeah,
coming
it's
in.
gonna come between the highway and CBIC, so she's not, she'll be on Zoom.
Okay.
Next week.
All right, I think everybody's here. We might as well resume the,
Oh, Kimberly's not on yet.
I thought you said she wasn't coming up back on yet.
No, she'll be on Zoom
Oh,
and then she'll be here physically. In person,
oh, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that.
No, wait,
way.
A couple more minutes.
Andy, did you sneak out early enough to eat lunch?
No. No, I had two kids home alone that I had to get ushered out on their bikes.
Oh, wow.
So mom was out working and yeah, you get out of the house. And back. All good. Yeah,
We both had a meeting at CBIC that we ran over to during break.
What are you guys doing? Oh,
Are you helping them with their budget request?
I'm not telling that.
It was like a-
I'd rather help them from the state level. County level. They're gonna come in with a bigger bucket to fill everything
Yeah.
than we got water, so.
Unless I was confused, but I thought she said she would be on Zoom.
we're gonna go
And our break between
Or-
highway and
a
CBIC.
little bit of it. So I thought Captain White was on. On, now he's gone.
Yeah,
I figured you guys had under control on.
I've been running all over. I don't know.
Oh.
Good,
Any sir?
sure, yeah, you guys are.
Commissioner Hagan and Commissioner Rusted, can you hear us?
I hear ya.
Loud and clear.
Okay,
We'll reconvene our morning session, and the next up is the sheriff's department.
awesome. I know that we have a traditional way of handling the meetings. Do you wanna stick with the traditional way, or is there anything glaring that you just heard to talk about right off the bat, or do you want me to just go down the list?
I don't think we've had enough time to
Process.
look at it all yet. I
Sure.
read some of it yesterday, I'm not
Okay.
sure everybody did, so maybe you just gotta run
Sure.
down.
So, I believe you have two separate packets included, and one of them. Lists out the increase and decrease requests, so we'll just kind of go through that one. Budget justifications for 2025. The first item that you'll see on there for budget request. Is, two additional, deputies, and along with that line item, Michelle, very tedious and meticulously went through. And added everything from health insurance, all of the things, so. Regarding the backfill position for the sergeant that was approved for 2024. And the request for an additional deputy, just a quick background on that. Chief Deputy Stromberg went to a school on Northwestern for 12 weeks and 10 weeks of hell. 90+ degree temperatures in dorms, no air conditioning 2 years ago. And part of that was working on allocation of employees and whatnot, and he became a mathematician he didn't know he was. So part of that, what I requested him to do was to break down our duties, our calls for service. And our required duties by the state and by the county. And do a resource study to see where we were sitting at for staff. And he's here to present that and kind of walk you guys through it.
Well, I don't know if I'd say present,
Well,
I'm talking
well,
about it, and then I'm gonna email you the study, cause I didn't realize till today that you didn't get it, so. what I did was, just like Andy said, he asked me to do the resource allocation study. I collected all of the data through calls for service. Separated all those calls for service down to different types of A type offenses, B type offenses, C type offenses, car accidents, all of that. I put it all together in a mathematical equation equating for obligated time and unobligated time by deputy. So obligated time would be calls that we have to go on. Burglaries, robberies, sex offenses, I did a whole analysis of that. The others are crashes and stuff like that, broke it down into secondary type offenses. Added all of that stuff up, that's all the obligated time that we're obligated to do. And use an equation to come out with how many deputies that would take just to fill that obligated time. Then the next part of the study is to take the unobligated time, which would be patrol time, time that the sheriff would like to see us out in the community, interacting with the community, doing the proactive police work, traffic stops. That's unobligated time. The deputies are free to do whatever they need to do in that time. I collected stats, a mathematical equation based on what the sheriff would like to see for that obligated time. Put that into an overall formula. The formula spat out 9 deputies. So in a 24-hour period, our minimum staffing level should be 9. Our current minimum staffing level is 7. So that's where the 2 comes from. You then have to do a study to see the shift relief factor. So you need to factor in, those guys need time off, benefited time off, regular scheduled time off, training time, all the other stuff that would take them off the road. And our shift relief factor at the sheriff's office is 2, so you multiply the 2 that you need plus the 2 on the shift relief factor, you get 4. So the study's conclusion is we should probably have 4 more deputies on staff to cover, to get us to the 9 that we need in a 24-hour period to cover the county safely and effectively. So I'll email you guys the study. I pared it down to about 3 pages, pretty much a summary with some of the mathematical equations included in the study. And then I have all the resource material that's 50+ pages of data.
Send that.
You don't want it? Okay. I can send it to you if you want, along with an abbreviation chart, if that helps, as there are some abbreviations in the study that you might find helpful, so. Like I said, so 4 would be, what we need right now would get us up to where we probably need to be. Obviously 4 is a little bit much to bite off in 1 year or 1 budget cycle. So, hoping that the commission would take into consideration adding a deputy or 2 this year. And then maybe take a year off and add another one, and then take a year off and add another one to get us to the 4. But like I said, that's 4 that we need this year, 4 years from now. That might change based on the statistics and the amount of calls, transports, and other things that we have to do. As for, because he had me do the resource allocation study and because I'm in charge of the fleet management, I did order a extra vehicle just in preparation of maybe we'll get an extra deputy this year, because obviously we had a deputy, we had equipment costs, we had vehicle costs, and everything else. So that's basically it in a nutshell. Like I said, I'll email you the study so you guys can all see it. Get you the resource material if you want, and all the algebraic equations. It's a real joy to go back to algebra.
Now, don't get too excited about Chief Deputy Stormer saying he ordered a new vehicle. Like, since we've been working with the lease program, it's as easy to say, give me an extra one, as it is to say, cut 2. So, it's not like that money's already been spent. The other thing that I think maybe you should address is the last time we had that.
Oh, yes, part of the study is I talked to Michelle talked to Danny. I think the consensus was, the last time the commission approved an additional deputy position was in 2013. So it's been 11 years since the commission has granted us an additional deputy.
And when we talk about an additional deputy, we're talking about an FT, right? Patrol deputy, so I don't want the commission to lose it in the water that you did authorize us in 2019 for an additional courthouse deputy. That's a grade 9, assigned to these 2 buildings, not a grade 10, not patrol capable. The other deputies that we have added is Grand Sky, but that is all contract, that's at no cost to the county. So we don't consider them adding an FT, that's a contract position. Actual individuals working the road has not increased in 11 years. So, something to consider. Again, just reiterating a little bit of what Chief Deputy Stromberg said. Very unrealistic, well aware to ask for 4 deputies. That, I don't even know if we would wanna take that burden on in 1 year. It'd be a lot of equipment, a lot of training, and that would take 8 field training officers minimum and minimum 4 supervisors. And that's just for us to do in a year, it's just not really realistic. But looking at our workload now, you'll see as we go through this a little bit longer, and I know we're gonna run over, and I apologize, but I feel this is important stuff. I mean, we've been stretching, it's all duties as assigned, right? And that phrase runs very true with the sheriff's office. Chief Deputy Stromberg works shifts, night shifts to backfill. He takes transports, he'll run to Fargo, Crookston and pick people up from jail or Grafton, and I will too. Nobody's immune. We send investigators on trips to the state pen or down to the cities because we're short and we just don't have enough to cover our minimum of 2 per shift that we have right now to cover the road calls. So we're yanking people, and we've dealt with it, and I'll stick with the stance as well. I'm not aware, I'm sorry I missed your part of the budget, I thought it was 11 o'clock, but that's totally my fault. Any day of the week, I feel like it is more important to take care of the people that we currently have in our agency versus adding more people to take that workload down. I mean, I feel like our agency is in very good shape right now with the personnel we have. We did just lose 2. I would say, well, one of them's probably 80% money. The other one was probably 60% money, 40% opportunity to the highway patrol. But the commission did great last year, upping our base salary to 60,000. I'm sure you guys pay attention to city government and state government with UND. They have now seen that as a threat, and so now they are increasing all of their baseline salaries. And I'm fine being the lowest paid. I'm not, but I'm fine being the lowest paid person, law enforcement in the county, okay? Because I feel like we offer more opportunity, or we're capable of taking care of our people better than those other agencies. But when that gap gets too wide, some people don't care because the dollar just smells too good. So if we can keep that gap reasonably close, that's more important to me than adding extra personnel. Any questions, I guess, before I move on the request?
Andy, I got a question. Did you do a 2023 stat report, statistical
Yes, we did.
report?
Yeah.
I guess I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And normally in that report, it covers like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, you sure can, and I'll tell you what it says, everything's going up, right? We're responding more calls for service. What we've started to notice is the calls that we're responding to more frequently are minimum 2-person calls. We're serving court order executions, throwing people out of their houses physically. More times per week now than I ever remember the first 15 years I worked here. Since 2020. Since the terrible Cody Holte incident, after that, I bet you our executions are doubling, and those are minimum 2-person calls. Right, we're eating up 2 guys on those calls. Welfare checks with firearms are just so much more common now. We take those calls by ourselves, not anymore. Those are 2 people calls, so those call volumes are increasing. Where your standard criminal mischief, thefts, burglaries, after the fact calls, those are decreasing, those are 1-person calls. So those are all going up, you know, I was kind of hard on Dave on this study. Because we could take these stats and make it look like we need 15 people, right? I'll be the first one to admit that. You can make stats look however you want. So I told meetings that cut out all kinds of crap, right? Like, I mean, we get a ton of money for overtime for traffic stops. Well, that's not obligated time. So he worked through a lot of that to make it as true a number as possible for our real expectations. Yeah, Bob, I can have the stats emailed to all of you.
Okay, I normally you give it to the commission or whatever.
Usually we'll do a press release on it. I don't know if we've ever.
I've
presented it to
never
the
even
commission,
saw it in a
but-
press release, 'cause
Yeah.
I normally get the press release.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't, honestly, I didn't put it all.
That a report.
We can.
Do us, any meeting?
What
That
that?
a, that a report that you can just send to the commission?
Oh, yeah, I could have it.
Cause I always
Yeah,
try to
send it in a
be,
minute.
I always wanted to have my stat sheet out for the meeting. So.
Yeah.
Let it go, let the before thing go, let the before the meeting go.
What's the situation with you guys, with the drug situation in the small towns?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The drug situation in small towns, do you get a lot of calls, or have a lot going on out in the rural areas?
It's not as bad as you think it would be, and you know, part of that falls under the unobligated time. Like, I want guys out in these small towns driving around with their cruiser lights on, they're just low level red and blues. So the cops know we're there, or that the people know that the cops are there, and don't be trying to sell drugs or do dumb stuff here. That's unobligated time. What we run into in small towns is you put an unmarked vehicle in Gilby or Northwood, Emerald, Manville, I don't care which one it is. Within 5 minutes, people know the cops are there.
Oh, yeah.
It is extremely hard to do proactive enforcement or even surveillance in those small towns. So. Any other questions on that, or in the interest of already being over 4 minutes
You're not over.
or not?
Till 1:30.
Oh, yeah, we started one
Plenty
time.
of time. My question is, I just wanna confirm what you said. What I believe you said, is that you would prefer if money was tight and we couldn't afford to give the. If we could only do the 2 employees or take care of the existing employees, you would prefer to take care of the existing before you added the 2, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but I'm not putting the deputies on the pillar to get axed off before any other people that have requested personnel, right? Like, I feel like. You know, we've put in our time, we've waited our time.
So just any employees, not your employees, any employees added.
Correct, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna discount our agency and say that we are not in need of more personnel, we are. But if the commission comes to the agreement that, hey. You know, we got an ask for X amount of employees this year. We can't do that, how are we gonna pay out per agency, hopefully, you know, if some people need them, which I think we do need. I would say at least 1, we did request 2 for a reason. We could add those, I feel like that is a priority, but if it came down to you're not getting a step. Which I feel a step is more important than a COLA because of the compression that happens, it affects 2 to 3 years of people.
Right.
I hired 2 guys in January, if we get froze on steps and get a 2% COLA. We hire somebody next November, December, now you got a guy that's been here over almost 2 years. And in that 2 to 6 year time frame of employees in our agency, boy, does that cause issues.
Andy, how many employees do you have in grade 13? Maybe Michelle, probably.
Well, that would be sergeants, that's 5.
5 that are in
Yeah.
grade 13. Michelle, are you in 13?
No, I think are you asking step 13?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh.
That's it, yeah,
Yeah.
you're talking maxed out.
oh, 3?
Yeah.
Or 4. It's
People that would
not-
not get a step increase because they're in grade.
Just you.
Yeah. I think it's-
Shelley.
No. because-
Same with Michelle.
No, we want. Yeah.
Michelle's the only one,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, because with the new scale, salary scale, we
People-
scaled them down instead of keeping them in the.
Yeah, so none of the deputies are maxed.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair, do you mind if I ask a question? Is there any particular reason, and maybe this is a Debbie or a Haley question, is there any particular reason why the steps max out at 13, causing potential issues for people getting step increases? I mean, it seems arbitrary to me. Could it not be 20?
So I think our salary survey showed 13 steps and every position is worth so much money and not beyond that. So even after so many years of experience, you're still not adding anything to the county, and that position is worth that amount of money, no more.
Yeah, bank boys should make $100,000.
And
Right.
right, and the other part is that some counties have more steps. But a step might be worth 1.5%, not 3.
Okay.
And the 3% was steps and the number of steps per grade. I don't know when that one was put in place, but I can tell you it was prior to HR. So.
Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it.
You're clear on that then? Okay,
I am.
you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying we don't need these people, but if it comes down to cutting dollars, pay the people. I will mention that this was an error on my fault and I didn't realize it till way after the fact. But this is right under the budget request for the regular employees, the part-time employee salary. So we have a part-time deputy sheriff that was approved by the county commission. And when I submitted the salary study, and we got the approvals, I inadvertently left our part-time position off of that. We currently have a part-time deputy that's been with the county for 40, almost 30+ years. Wealth of knowledge, still on the regular county employee pay scale. He's currently sworn personnel, can tote a gun, oath of office. He was not adjusted for the part-time 10-1 grade to the $60,000 flat. So that second line is my error trying to correct the mistake I made last year and bump that to the same grade 10-1 as sworn personnel in the county. That is that request. The next several lines again address benefits, which I'm not gonna go covering because that's pretty self-explanatory. We skipped down to prisoner transport. I'm about halfway down the page. It's an increase of $8,000. So the Department of Corrections used to cover transports based on interstate compact agreement, transporting of prisoners from state to state. Central Code now tells us we have to do that. So the state's not paying for it. We have to do that. So we're just requesting an increase on that. Or if they're doing it, they're still doing them, it's at our cost.
Well, what happens is they apply to move out of state, and so if they commit a crime, then we don't have to go get them. They go get them. So it's a.
And we pay them to get them.
We pay that
That's-
fee,
yeah.
they charge them $75, or it could be $150, however. Charges, or it has to do with their charges or something like that, but. I get the bill from DOCR and. It can be $650 a month, it could be $1,000 a month, could be $1,500. Just depends on who applies for the interstate compact and who qualifies for it.
To ship people out of state. So instead of the state paying for it, the state takes care of it, but they're having us do it for people in our county. Residents of our county. So that's that increase. I'm gonna go down to the service agreements. The dispatch peace authority board has been working with dispatch director, Ms. LaHaye. And they're looking to bring on a new computer aided dispatch program. They are moving forward with it. I believe implementation is looking for March, is it, Cindy? Cindy's on that board as well. And this system is going to be a subtle increase of cost for us. We can't avoid it. If we don't go with this, we have computers in our vehicle, but we won't be able to dispatch, communicate with them on calls. So that is an increase request of $16,940. And that is to function with the new dispatch system that hopefully is incorporated in 2025. Communication cost is very minimal. That's just an increase due to inflation stuff. We do have a decrease in communication costs and mailing costs that we've noted. The police supplies increase, that's just ammo and taser cartridges, batteries, trying to account for costs going up. We try to offset that a little bit with selling the brass, the spent casings that are out at our range. We haul those into RMI And every 2 years, we probably collect anywhere from $2,500 to $4,000. We put that back into this budget to try to keep that minimal increases.
Just a quick question on service agreements, you got them in 3 places. There's no real increases on the other, are they different?
So one is, communications costs, the other one is photocopying costs.
What?
What is the one?
Yeah, you're looking at communication costs, it's different line items, and I have to ask the same question every time as well.
Well, down the ways though, we got service agreements above communication costs.
Yep,
You were talking about that one. Now you got 2 of them down about 5 or 6 lines. Are those,
so we have the two that are decreases, the communication and mailing costs. And then the service agreement for photocopying costs, so that's contract with Marco or whoever provides our copy machines. Whoever is the lease agreement for that contract. And that's just estimating, you know, the cost that we're projecting this year is gonna increase about $200 for making copies, sending faxes. So I see what you're
down
saying.
there, down below, and there's no
I
real
think
change.
he's looking at the
What,
line item on your budget, and you're going through your justification sheet,
Oh,
so that's what he,
that's what it's doing.
Oh, you're on this one?
yeah.
Okay. Which number,
what we're starting at,
Dave? What, it says budget costs, what number are you looking at?
Go back to the first.
the accounts, you mean?
Yeah,
42, 13, 34, 23, and 25, 20, and
23 and 25.
I think that was over there. Yeah, go and see.
34, 23, you said, or no?
There's Goro.
Let me just see, if you don't mind, I'll approach quick.
Well, it's on the back page of, here's crime prevention, service agreements, communication costs, service agreements.
Okay.
I just trying to follow what
Right.
service agreements you were talking about, because
Okay, oh, I was referencing the different page. Okay,
well,
This
this
one.
one marked, so it was hard to catch on to what page
You,
you were.
right, you have this sheet. It shows an increase, decrease request for 23 and 24. Yeah.
Okay, this one?
Yep, that one. Okay, yep, so I was going through the front of that one, the front of that one to start. So,
I'm with,
right, so it shows increases or decreases over here. If I'm past that decrease, I would be on the back page, on the second page, if that makes sense.
since you're not hard.
Yours is illegible and font. Mine's a little harder. Yeah, so here is another decrease in mailing costs.
Yeah, let's do that.
And then we'll go with police supplies, we can move on to police supplies if that works for you. And then I think maybe that'll get us caught up. So police supplies is an increase, again, that's ammo and taser cartridges, I was talking about batteries, things that are increasing, expendable things that we can't control the cost of. The next one is uniforms, again, prices are increasing on uniform shirts, the shirt used to be $85, now they're $120. Gotta have them, they wear out, kind of out of our control. The reserve requests, we're trying to rejuvenate our reservist corps again. At one time, we had 6, I don't know how many Bob had back in the day, quite a few.
At least 6.
But we are currently down to 1. We had a good core that was with us for about 10 years. And part of our hangup for not adding more the last couple of years is the post board has been working on making them basically, they're licensed, right? So it's a reserve license, like we have to have a license, now reserves have to have a license, they didn't before. There were sheriffs in the state, I've talked to many of them. Would have guys walk in the door, say, hey, I can take a transport, well, you wanna be a reserve, sure, raise your right hand, here's the keys, take them to, like, unbelievable. So I've never done that, can't speak for former Sheriff Ross, but I've never done that before. But now that we have the testing process and the training and everything squared away, we're looking to increase our reserve pool back up to 5 personnel, 1 remaining, add 4. It's just a little increase. We're gonna have to buy them vests if we don't have body armor that fits them. For the most part, we have uniforms in stock. But we're looking to actually get that going this fall and hopefully have them all trained up, sworn in and certified early next summer. So that is that request. Tires again is just the industry increase on costs and that varies on mileage. We did just lose a couple high mileage guys. So we could have hired a couple more high mileage guys, we don't know. But an increase of 2,000 is what we're looking for at that. Same with body maintenance, you never know when a guy's gonna hit I'll call it a flock of 10 deer. Unbelievable, but you can't control Mother Nature. We had a whole herd run out in front of them. We've had guys get sideswiped by school buses. Like most of these accidents are out of our control, some are in our control. Just again, paying that deductible on that. The shooting range, equipment supply, if you recall last year you authorized us an increase to purchase a lawnmower. Thank you. We have made that purchase, so we're looking to bring that back down to last year's number, decrease that by $6,000. Again, reducing the furniture and equipment budget by 5,000 because we were able to obtain a few new cubicles over there and make conditions more satisfactory for a few of the employees. And then the LE automation, same as IT was talking about. We had a budget amendment to increase that for some unforeseen hard drive needs. So that can get decreased by $5,900. We didn't decrease it, the total amount of the budget amendment that was granted. Because as you're all well aware, automation is getting cheaper. We don't know where this tab is gonna take us. Something that was attached, I believe, in your notes, maybe, was it looks kind of like this 365 suite. What this is, and if it isn't in there, that's just fine, because this would just be food for thought. What this is a program for records management, and it works, it's the same company for computer aided dispatch that we're going to.
And you have that under capital improvement.
Yeah, that's the request under capital improvements, and that we are trying to drag our feet in heavy sand. Because we'd rather have the PD work through all the bugs than us have to deal with it. So we're hoping they can launch it, get a year, 18 months under their belt, and then we'll be able to phase in with less problems. Kind of like agencies did with us regarding vehicles. We were the guinea pig for vehicles with enterprise leasing. And people drug their feet, and now they should all be taking Dave out to lunch every single day because, and Haley, because of the work
Yeah.
you guys did on that. So the last item I think that we needed to touch, I might have glanced over it, was vehicles on the last page. So let Chief Deputy Strongman talk about the vehicle budget request.
So, enterprise leasing is going very well. We're actually a little bit ahead of their 10-year projected plan. So far, we've got quite a few vehicles, under lease, not quite half the entire fleet. After this year, I think we'll be close to the halfway mark of transitioning to leases. What we've seen is that's greatly helped our vehicle maintenance budget. We have so many new cars or newer cars that are low mileage that we're able to stay in that bumper to bumper warranty, which helps with maintenance costs. Also having newer vehicles, better gas mileage, et cetera, et cetera. I've noticed quite a bit that my calls to shops have gone down. Calling, finding a SWAT car that's broken and trying to get it fixed. That's greatly reduced because of the program. Like I said, we're about halfway. I think next year we had an increase again. The increase is basically where we're at is investigator vehicles and transport vehicles will be down next year on patrol vehicles. We're kind of caught up on patrol vehicles. We'll maybe have one or two that we'll need. And most of the increase is based on cost of vehicles, what it costs to purchase lease vehicle, and just stay on track with keeping those high mileage cars out of the fleet and avoid those maintenance costs. Also, resell on those vehicles that because they're newer, when we turn them over, some of those are gonna get us some equity back a little bit on those vehicle, so I'll offset a little bit. I think that's pretty much.
Yeah, and something that's really not noted with that increased cost is the last comment that Dave said. If we're trading in vehicles or new vehicles, this isn't reflecting what we're gonna get for resale of those cars. So that number does look big and scary, but as long as the commission is allowing us to spend that return, and whether it goes into the general budget or back into our vehicle budget, it's gonna make that number look a lot less scary. So,
For example, this year, I think we are getting rid of one, if not two, 2021 Tahoes. The Black Book values are right around $26,000 for those vehicles, where previously with Explorers, we were getting $6,000.
or 6, 8.
Yeah. So,
And these vehicles don't have 140 to 150,000 miles either. So there's so many benefits to this program, and we talked about it with the past mission as well.
Right.
Like a huge benefit now is, in the next 2 years, we'll be able to recycle equipment in these new vehicles. So we trade these out, instead of spending $20,000 to re-outfit them.
Yeah.
It might cost us 4 to 7, because we can reuse the cages and everything in them. So we're getting 2 vehicle life cycles out of equipment is the end goal of this project.
Sure.
Huge cost savings. It doesn't look like it when you look at it up front, but I know Michelle has kept track the last year and a half since we've been doing this, of what it would have cost us to be here versus what it is costing us.
A lot,
Sign post.
it's a lot. Because it's
So
the
if
main-
you're, getting the equipment installed and stuff, does that increase or is there still a delay? In getting newest equipment installed
so
and
timeline,
radios and all lights and all that stuff?
timeline we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes, it has increased. So what happened was after COVID, manufacturers were behind the ball on production. Now that production has snapped back, and now the upfitters are inundated with all those cars that were previously not there, right? So, where those upfitters were maybe getting, 100 cars per summer, now they're getting 400 cars per summer, because all that production snapped back. Now all these law enforcement agencies are catching up, trying to catch up with upfitting new cars.
so how many Tahoes do you have waiting to get installed right now?
7.
7?
There's one being, I think at the end of this week or beginning of next week, we'll start. Being switched over, that's the 2021 Tahoe. And then. I think there's 2 scheduled in July, 2 in August. And 2 in September.
Okay, so you got the cars, you just can't get the equipment.
We don't have them, and here's the beauty of this enterprise deal, like, if this was pre-enterprise. We'd write a check for 7 vehicles.
Yeah.
And they sit down there, and now we're sitting on these vehicles here until they're ready to install them. With enterprise, we don't pay a penny until that car. Is actually, the key went like this today, here you go, you touch it, now you start your payment. So there's vehicles we won't have to pay on
Yeah.
for quite a while.
Enterprise delivers directly to our upfitter, so we don't get charged until we take possession, so we never touch it.
Yeah, and it's a fine balance, right? Like, they're playing a game. Guardian they're our outfitter, so. Dave tells them, hey, we're gonna have 7 Tahoes there, they should be there in April. They laugh and say, sounds good, tell us when you get the code that they're at the lot. So then he calls. When they get the code that they're at the lot. And then they can schedule them, but in that meantime, I mean, you got guys buying, year-old, 2-year-old vehicles that are just throwing 30, 40 in their lot. That buries our cars down a little bit.
Yeah,
Dave still has a little pull down there, otherwise we'd probably be waiting until next year for them. But their quality and their lifetime warranty, we've never seen anything like it. You can't beat it. And if you can, it's double.
There's a reason there's 400 cars sitting there with agencies waiting for them to build their cars, it's because their production is so good.
Let's interrupt for questions for a minute because we are running over.
Please, thanks for interrupting.
Commissioner Rusted, Commissioner Hagan, any questions? Commissioner Ross, Commissioner Peach, everybody?
I have no questions. Good presentation. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just a quick comment. Thanks for your time and being patient. Next year's schedule is for 45 minutes. Cause I talk a lot. I'm elected like all of you, so sorry, but you're used to it.
You've always gone over.
But when you actually have more time to dig into it and look line by line, please. Don't make assumptions. Feel free to reach out to myself or Michelle. These are all her numbers. I just try to talk about them. And I tell her yes or no. But reach out to either one of us or both of us on an email or by phone if you have questions. I'm more than happy to explain it.
Good.
So,
Thanks for coming.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You all have a fabulous.
Since you're 13, we'll just do the COLA.
She's just,
I never complain, I am never.
hey, she's just glad to make it out of the tuition meeting without her sheriff saying this is the actual fare.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Stress.
Thank you guys.
Just glad to be here.
You next?
Yeah, you're smooth now, too.
Are you next?
Yeah.
I'll listen to gravel.
You have a great day.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Yeah, push it on.
This is the same thing as happened before, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. The Spanish Inquisition. Yeah. Wait, do you have a copy of what you have? I mean, we have a copy of what's submitted, I don't know if it's,
Yeah, that's,
is it 100% the same?
it should be pretty much. Well, I changed some things like
Yeah.
the benefits and the salaries.
Okay.
What they would be if there was benefits.
Okay. Yeah, it usually gets tweaked a little bit now and then,
Yeah.
so.
Go ahead.
Okay.
What's it doing?
So you want, I'd like to, bottom line, like to keep things about the same. Well, we have two accounts for, everybody's knowledge. We have 2150, which is highway tax. That's gas tax, that's.
Not
Yeah.
looking for.
Not levied for, we have no control over the revenue, just the expense side of things. And then the 2140, that's our road and bridge, that is the meal levy, that's specifically taxed for highway purposes. Our goal is to keep that at 10 mils, as it has been the last couple of years. With, obviously, then that means if the mill levy stays the same, typically the dollar amount goes up. Which is where we make up our difference for increases in primarily material costs, benefits and wages. And just keeping up with inflation and projects. This is 2150, the highway tax fund, that's pretty stagnant, that's been stagnant for 10 years, I've been here right about 3 million every year, give or take, so. That's it's a little frustrating to see not move at all, but. State of North Dakota, just be clear, is pretty generous to the highways department too with other funding and. Other grant opportunities or prairie dog money or. Flex fund grant or things like that that can come into the highway department. Would you like me to go through like line item by line item like the sheriff did, or? Just maybe hit the high points to start with, or?
So I think we understand your budget a little more. We're gonna hit the high points first, and then we'll have questions on that.
Sounds good. Is the first page you have, is it the 2140, the highway account? That what everybody's looking at?
Yeah.
Okay, so. Yeah, the first few line items are. I guess I kind of call them fixed costs are defined by the wages of the crew. And then we move down to, well, like equipment rental, that's motor grader. That's our lease, that's a fixed cost. The outline shop repairs, that's what we've been using for our shed rehabs, and next year, if the board remembers, we're purchasing the Gilby property there. So this would be our allotment for that. Culverts, we have at $500,000, same as this year. That was a specific maneuver a couple of years ago. I think we went from 8 or 8.5 mils up to 10, just specifically that more money for culvert repairs. Bridge materials leave the same. The clay gravel blacktop, it's primarily our gravel fund would remain the same. And the one fund that would fluctuate is our construction fund. So
Right now, we have that projected at 1.9 million, and that's the fund that we would use for. Oh, paying for engineering costs to buying additional culverts or paying for additional gravel or anything above and. Well, any construction, gravel, culverts, bridges, all that comes out of that fund, and that can fluctuate based on the year. Say like last year, this year, excuse me, we had a big mill and overlay project, so we had money out of there. Or had money specifically budgeted for that, but next year we don't have a big overlay project scheduled yet, so we would take that money and put it in the construction fund, and our idea would be to put it to culverts and bridges, would be my thought. But that money is not specifically allocated yet.
So none of that's allocated yet.
Correct. Or if it is very little. I do have. Well, usually I don't keep a specific spreadsheet for projects because I can keep track in my head. But this year is just too much. So there's just too many things going on, which is good. So I have my own little separate tracking spreadsheet for specific projects, and most of these are federal aid jobs. It's not part of the budget, but it's what we use for keeping track of, say, that construction fund. It's a big dollar amount. Where's it going? Which pieces of the pie are going where? What's the funding splits? Because every project, especially at the DOT level, is funded different percentages. Or they'll pay for engineering or not engineering. It's too much. So I have that. And most of these projects, pretty much all the projects on this list as of now, we can fund with our current construction project or leftover prairie dog money, where we got that legacy fund disbursement. The board remembers that was 974,000, almost $1 million. That we're using to cover those expenses, and that's just about all structured work, except like our salt shed is in there. Matching funds for Eagle Avenue, things like that. I think that about covers expense side on road and bridge. And we try to stick to about a 10% carryover on purpose. Actually. The 2150. Like I said, the revenue side of that it is what it is. And then we have the first few line items, we have mostly fixed expenses, salaries, workers' comp. And a lot of these line items, I believe they're the same, like equipment lease purchase, that's if we need to rent a piece of equipment. Travel budget's the same. Electricity, gas, water, telephone services. Oh, in case you're wondering, like building repairs and upkeep. So that would be the repairs of our main yard in Grand Forks. Like, well, there's a leaky roof, we gotta get that fixed. Outline shop repairs, that's what we use to repair our outline 9 auxiliary sheds. Oh, shop supplies, we'd like to go from 25,000 to 30,000. Just in inflationary challenges there. Gas oil purchases, well, that's basically diesel and gas for our department, we're leaving that at 600,000. Vehicle parts repairs, we did bump that a little bit from 375 to 400,000. Again, just the cost of getting things fixed, keeping equipment going. And you can see the year before, we spent 569,000 in repairs. That was that bad winter though. Hopefully we don't have that again. Signed, we went up from 40,000 to 55,000. Again, just inflationary costs of things going up. Furniture and equipment, we went from 1,000 to 5,000. I can't remember why we did that. Like office supplies.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember why we did that. Oh, here's one thing. We typically had money in here for our two-way radios. Well. The state switched into that. Digital system,
800 something.
yes, siren, whatever they call it, yeah. So we just had a meeting a couple weeks ago with. Somebody from PSAP, I forget his name, about switching, we need to switch all of our radios. I remember, was it like 80 radios we have in the apartment?
Nick, is that an unfunded mandate or a suggestion?
It's Commissioner Rusted, it's happening.
It's mandated.
It's a mandate.
And yes, it's unfunded. So what'll happen, our current analog radios will. Not function in a year or two from now, or I forget the timeline, but it's imminent.
Yeah.
So.
My favorite kind of mandate, the unfunded ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge we need to work through.
What's the estimate?
Yeah, I had that at the office too. I think they're like 1,800 or 2,000 a piece.
It's significant because the sheriff had to switch all of his over, what, 2 budget cycles ago? Yeah, it was considerable.
Chunk, yeah.
Yeah,
Why don't we start that?
it'd be nice to do some of that now. And we're considering not putting radios in everything. I don't know if every pickup needs one. Honestly, like the plow equipment does, the snow plows, the motor graders.
Yeah.
My pickup, John's pickup,
Raiders.
yes. But
Nick, is there sorry to interrupt, is there a safety concern at all if any of the vehicles wouldn't be equipped with communication equipment?
I would say the primary snowplow equipment, yes. They should definitely have them. Some of the other vehicles are less important. I mean, it's it's like, say the wheel loader. During construction season, if you're loading, you're trying to talk to trucks when you're loading them, it'd be nice to have. But is it absolutely critical? Not right away.
Not like the old days when you didn't have a cell phone.
Well, that's exactly,
know.
yeah. See, what has happened to us is, we're tied in with all the schools. And so we hear about, his little Billy getting picked up today, and so the guys get frustrated with it. And they shut them off, or they don't use them, so they get. Frankly, they've kind of grown accustomed to using cell phones more so. Than they used to, but. These radios are still. A certain equipment is still, I believe it would be essential and worthwhile is to get them updated.
Yeah, we can't expect everybody to carry their own personal cell phones out there.
Well-
Especially the emergency kind of things with the snowplows and whatever, yeah, that's where you start, isn't it?
I think that's where we start. And, I think we could have, we could probably overrun that line item budget some and absorb it in other line items. And, as long as the end number is okay, we can't do it all, but we could do some this year.
Sure.
Maybe some next year. And frankly, it is dangerous if, you're not supposed to be on a cell phone and talking. To dial and all that is dangerous, but just to grab the handset, you just grab and squeeze and talk. Quick.
Nick, are they county issued cell phones that your drivers have?
They do not, but we do reimburse them a stipend monthly for usage.
So if they're county issued, I'm just thinking because you said there's 80, right? A need for 80 radios?
It's approximately that, yes.
Yeah, just under $2,000 a pop.
Yes. Yeah. But I'm pretty confident, I could say now that the mower pickup, quote unquote, the one that the guy drives to the mower. Gets in it and drives in the tractor all day and then drives back at the end of the day and It's got a fuel tank and a def tank and some tools in it. I don't think that needs a radio, or especially not right away. Maybe we could do that years down the road or something if we feel it's necessary, but. If we get the plow equipment and like our main office. That would be a great start.
We are again looking at a time schedule. Are you close to wrapping up what you want us to hear?
Yeah, the only other thing maybe worth mentioning is you'll see vehicles is in there at 670,000. Well, that's the 2 snowplow trucks we're buying next year. Remember, we bid and then didn't take one and we ordered 2 for next year. That's what that is. That's why that's an abnormally large number. I don't know if I've ever seen it quite that big before. And then the only other line item would maybe worth mentioning is what we call road improvements. That's essentially a construction fund we would use for, well, what it does, it makes up the difference in the expense side of this budget. It's our flexible account, and we would use it for gravel, culverts, bridges, construction, just like the other account. And then miscellaneous the same, and then we have our good old cost allocation in there, so that is what it is.
Okay,
I think that's it.
any other questions? From any commissioners? Debbie, anybody? Okay. Thanks for the presentation as always.
Oh, I'm not as smooth as the sheriff, but.
It's usually fine. I guess we'll take about a 5 or 10 minute break. We've got a break built in, but it's not gonna full one. So let's start again at 8 or 10 minutes. What's next? TV, more stuff on TV, I've seen that. Okay, you gave me that one earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Soon I walk a little bit, then I'm fine.
Yeah.
Steps and marshaling the hours that can be to finally say, okay, enough's enough, let's fix this here. So Steph got this. So Steph sent me a note saying, tell me when my meetings. Oh, you're not out. No, not the deal with Frank. I did that one. Yeah, I understand where that's what. March and ask Doors and that. Everyone works together, I think. Yeah, okay, yeah, no, you're saying.
Then you're gonna have people who say. I used to spend, I spent at 3%, I know that. Decreasing the.
The sheriff made a very good point, the point I've always said too, is that if you have someone that buildings and grounds, let's say janitor. Worked here 60 years and now makes more than the state attorney.
Right,
You know,
and that's why,
It's the position is worth so much money.
I got the actual request.
Yeah.
It's paycheck subs or. And the or.
have a meeting.
I think we need to go out of payroll. report.
So hopefully I can answer some questions.
And the or. Actually.
It was probable.
That's okay.
Later on, once they do any last.
Because our tax subs so big, they're hourly rate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it was like 4, make it like that.
And
Well,
then-
you would think when you adopt a bigger.
Yeah, they're early too.
Okay.
Right,
Once you get fully out there anymore.
and I don't know if they're just
85 is in line now. Yeah.
thinking.
Go back to-
Or can you-
That is, but that's all.
Well, we have, switch them, we have,
So the other thing, when I got that.
yeah,
Parts of that.
great.
For a month.
Well, I think,
So at least it's not.
great, they don't have the full line there, and I have to figure that out.
Just resend the direct deposit slips.
Yep, I'll add it to the COLA in there. Cause I didn't think of that.
That, I can get out and you can just PDF it and give it to them.
It's tough, guys.
They install it, or you will not.
I mean, there's a lot of, some houses,
You know,
your first 5 years, your steps are, and then you move every other year, just, and all that does is just extends out the kind of time. Yeah, but a position's up, any position's always only worth this much, but.
You just take that position out.
And if you are at, if you're in Williams County.
That wouldn't be a problem.
And they do merit, so they don't do steps like. However, if you're a merit, on a scale.
Well,
And you are
we
in
do it
Williams
for
County
one
and you're assumed that's a
And then
50% COLA,
bring it back.
because you're maxed out on your scale, you don't.
So the
And
COLA,
they-
the COLA doesn't adjust their whole grid?
No, because they don't do it right. They do. Look at this position, goes from here to here, and this thing, and they have a whole compensation program, but that's all they do. Is compensation.
Great, but still. Yeah.
Complicated.
Right.
Well, it is, and they do salary surveys every year. Every single year I get something from them. And then what happened, and that we can choose.
But I think that we would just do revenue and not.
And typically it's the positions where people are.
And I don't think I
think out.
come up with a percentage.
And like, right?
So when Grand Forks County has done salary surveys, is it typical where folks that are in step 13 maybe come down, or when you're maxed, even if adjustments are made?
When you say come down, they don't.
Come down in steps, so like,
The only time the position goes down in steps.
Yeah, we could do
Or
that.
a person in a position. goes
Yeah,
down in
but we
steps.
can just,
In
you
here,
know, and
Because
even
if they're.
if it's be a
classified,
classified,
and they're.
and you do the higher
grade,
whatever,
and
always
you
are
adjust
very
the
tasty, and
steps.
then give
so
it.
that
And
means
that's
the sheriff is fine.
Yes, similar to what the sheriff did. We did that with. All the positions we reclassified last year, we went through to see. Because for some of them, if they went up multiple
Great.
grades, it did not make sense to keep them on the same step.
Okay.
So they moved down, so then they still have more potential.
Yeah.
And they know, you
We'll get
know,
out of our time to get where we need to be.
I hope so.
Oh.
Is CVIC out there?
Hmm?
Is CVIC
Yeah.
out there?
I don't know where Kimberly lives.
Yeah, because she's now off, so she might be on her way here.
Oh.
Cause that was her original.
Why would we put us there when they are a category?
She was gonna.
We didn't have a gap anymore.
Right.
I mean, we have a mechanics category. Yeah, but they did.
So yeah, if it gets beyond 430, I'll leave.
They're good, yeah.
If Roger
Fine, I believe it.
join.
I got a
Well,
phone.
yeah, no, so hopefully they're done.
Yeah, well, they have.
Worry about that.
I would.
These.
You know,
things-
so I think it would be better to have that category filled in.
Did you
First,
get
they
it,
look
or
at
maybe
goal
go over there like that?
You know,
I didn't ask, well, we know, I just sent
Yeah.
it. Thanks. I don't know.
kind of.
Good,
Yeah,
then we have all this listed,
yeah.
I think.
Let's leave them in the salaries of the topic.
He is. That's right.
I like the non-controversial ones like Circle of Friends.
I want $5,000.
Bigger,
They did last
full of
year.
bigger 3%.
Do you know why, I think?
Then I will invest those and I'll get those next.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll move this little. Okay.
And like, you're working on this.
Okay, all right, well, and are you working tonight or are you showing up?
Hey, Phil, you're gonna be there, or when I do that exit interview with
It's gonna be your.
Linda Wagner,
Okay.
If you want me there, just tell her. I'm-
well, I think it would be a good thing.
So are
Yeah,
we
but
waiting
let her
or
know
should we-
I'll be around. I don't wanna-
She is, I got a text from Kimberly that she's en route.
I don't know when she wanted
I
to.
go there?
Yeah, she
guys see.
doesn't have a specific date or time.
Right, and I push her and just say, hey, we need to nail down the date, so.
Yeah.
We do lieutenant interviews for, starting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. For
Who got her slot?
Evers.
Mark, you ready to go there? Mark? Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Oh, there, okay, we're about ready to go. They got some.
Hello. Wow, this is front and center.
He's been here this morning when we stood at the podium. We thought we had a podium at least for us.
Thank you for that. I said some. Unclean things at the podium. Thank you. Should I get here? Should I get in there? I have 2 extras, so. You want here? You want to share with Sharon or? Okay.
You can have that one.
Yeah. Oh, I need this.
Okay. It's Kimberly's on her way a little bit, but I think we have to start. Keep on track, so. Go ahead.
Great.
Go ahead with your presentation.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Really good presentation all together. We've been working, a lot with, Tom, you know, kind of in the background to tell him some of the challenges that we're having with our federal funding. It's called a VOCA grant. The VOCA grant in your packet, there's behind the budget numbers, there is a slide from the North Dakota Department of Corrections that are asking us, sub-grantees, when we apply for funding for 2025, to reduce our, request by 50%. So what that means for the victim witness program is about $108,000, which is, really challenging. So you can see that on the budget line item there, that we're expecting about 108 to come in for VOCA funding. We have 25,000 in victim witness fees, and those are fees that are charged through the court system and that convicted folks pay in. And those funds were not actually required to put towards victim witness. They go to domestic violence agencies in general, but it's something that we want to contribute for the victim witness program. So that's 25,313. So it really leaves a shortfall. The county to cover is $378,000. That said, that covers in your packet there, you also see a graph. Here. That covers about 5.25 staffing in that program. We have 4 victim witness specialists. We have a director, and then we have a quarter of Laura's time, who's our vice president for oversight of the program in general. So we're adding a half FTE this year, and we're not coming back to the county and asking for any money for that. It just needs it. The number of victims just keeps going up and up. And so we have to do that because our staff is working an incredible amount of hours, over 40, which is fine. You know, they're exempt staff right now, but they're averaging like 48, 49 hours per week on some of their recent time cards through the trials and victim contacts and whatnot. But let's see what else do I have in here. It's unfortunately, again, going back to the DOCR slide in there, the funding outlook for VOCA is bleak in general. In 2026, they're actually projecting it's gonna be about, actually it's about a 61% decrease. They have 40% here, but it's 40% of the prior year. So the total from the current level is going to be even worse. On the flip side of that, we're doing everything that we can to find additional funding. We did apply for a Stop Wawa grant for the Victim Witness Program, and we applied for $135,000 in that grant. We'll find out probably the end of July, end of August, and that would start October. So there is a possibility that we could get some additional funding for this program. We just don't know that as of today. So as of today, as we're looking at it here, the 378, 180 is kind of the worst case scenario. For reference, last year, the county funded this with $204,000 of ARPA money.
I think the intention for 2025 was to use ARPA money again. Not beyond the 204 though. I think it was
Was it 2 or 4 last year? You said?
204 last year.
And we've been trying to work on some possible non-federal match with some office space maybe here in the county building for that victim witness program. And we can use that as our non-federal match. We can also use these victim witness fees. We would have a little bit more in the match than needed, but if this other Stop Wawa grant comes through, that has the match as well. So I'm trying to get some space for that.
So, Mr. Chair, on that note, Commissioner Hagan wanted me to talk about this a little bit. With the rising costs for VOCA, this is what we're statutorily mandated by the state to provide these services, as you all know. And we knew this was coming from meetings last year with CBIC, and Commissioner Hagan had briefed the board last year that we were gonna see these reductions in VOCA grant funds and an increase in the match. As you know, we have significant available office space on the 5th floor north tower. And so as Tracy mentioned, providing office space to the 5 victim witness advocates and any other costs to support what they do could be in-kind match. So I've been working with CBIC leadership on that. We've had a few meetings. We've toured that space, and you know, from what we've determined in working together and sharing information. And so this is a fluctuating number, as Tracy mentioned. There's the Stop Wawa grant, for example. I'm waiting on a little more follow-up information from Evelyn as well, as far as move-in costs. But you know, worst case scenario, we could be looking at about a $19,300 lease move-in value to move those 5 advocates into the COB. And so that could come off of, you know, that overall budget ask of the county. Something else that we're also working on, are 2 separate issues. So with those 5 office spaces, obviously we could apply that value to their budget ask. And then we've been talking about leasing other office space in that same area. This would be a cash in lease. I think it's a good fit for the other business that would go on up there in that 5th floor north tower. But I think right now just concentrating on those 5 offices and making that work. They're move-in ready. And just after probably a few more discussions and meetings and some more information, I can probably come back to the commission with a proposal. Where I don't know if I defer to Ms. Lomstead and Allison, but I don't know if you take that lease value and put it into the MOU or the contract or however you do it, but that's at least a way to get that overall budget ask down for the county, and then after that, work on the other remaining cash in office spaces. And I've chatted about that with Commissioner Hagan, Commissioner Rusted, and Commissioner Rost as well, just letting them know where we're at, but it's promising.
Questions? Mr. Hagan, you've been involved in this, anything else you'd like to add?
Right now, but no question.
Yeah, we'll do everything we can to keep looking for grants that, you know, would support this kind of work. They're pretty few and far between, but when we see them, we'll make a run. Do everything that we can to kind of keep those costs down for the county.
So in 2024, did we pay less than? The amount it costs to do the victims witness program?
So you're saying 2024,
You got $204,000.
Yeah.
So that was less than,
I'm expecting our costs are gonna be higher because we're adding a half FTE here in July. Yeah, we're gonna be for. And the FOCA amount was what's the amount last year. As well.
So what was the grant you were mentioning? What would that do?
So there's a grant, it's called Stop VAWA, and we applied for it for the victim witness program. So we applied for $135,000. Neither Laura or I think we're gonna get anywhere near that because we've had this grant in the past. It's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And the amount was like between 15 and 30,000. So I'm thinking that's probably on the top end of what we're gonna get. But I don't know, for whatever reason, they like new applicants. I'm not sure if they'll consider us a new applicant because we haven't been there for the past few years. But we apply for what we need. We always apply for what we need, and so we plugged in 135 grand.
Can the county apply for that grant and
You could apply for both.
put it towards? Didn't we had that discussion once, didn't we?
Yeah, you could also, you know, that might be a strategy for the future, because you'll see on the VOCA instructions, the prioritization, they've asked us, even though the funding is 34% less, they've asked us to make our applications at 50% less, because they want to leave room for new applicants and tribes. Maybe they would see the county as a new applicant. You could still do that if you wanted to try to do that, and then if you wanted CBIC to be your implementing agency, we could still do the work on their behalf. You could try that way. The notice of funding opportunity comes out July 1 and it's due July 31st. If you wanted to try to do that, we could sure try.
We both apply, the county apply and CBIC and see if one sticks, or is it kind of deceiving for both of us to apply?
I don't think you could do the same, Yeah, activities. Yeah. Two different entities for the same activities, I wouldn't think.
I just wonder if we have a better chance as a new applicant and then use that as another funding mechanism to fund CBIC doing it on our behalf.
I'll use the, on federal awards, you use the de minimis indirect cost rate negotiated.
Federal de minimis rate.
You do,
I don't know if the county does, but it's 10%,
yeah,
but it's gonna change to 15.
yeah. I was just curious, we do have a negotiated indirect cost rate and that's at 32%, so we can get a little bit, you know, what I mean, a little bang for a buck that way. It's still covering the same costs, but it's a little bit nicer on the draws to cover those other expenses. Well, something to think about. If you think you wanna try that strategy, we could do that.
Talk more offline.
Sure.
All right, any questions? Commissioner Rusted, any questions?
No questions from me, sir.
All right, anything else then? Anything else you'd like to tell us?
I think the only
We need.
thing I would offer is, DOCR has said that they're gonna try to approach the legislature about filling this gap. But I feel like that's also a question mark because, and that's also not money that we're gonna see until almost a year from now. So it's a little frustrating for us, frankly, because they're the lead applicant on it for the sub, and I think we're doing everything we can. We have some legislators in again today, trying to get them to help us, but it's just kind of frustrating because there's only so much about this we can control. And the partnership has been working for several decades now, and we just want to keep it going.
Yeah, and that they informed us that $7 million gap that the Department of Corrections would put in their budget. It wouldn't do anything for this award for 24 to 25. It would just start in October of 25 for September 26. So we won't, like this is just what it is this year.
And I think
On the
that-
revenue and other support sheet that you have here,
Mhm.
you don't have anything in there for fundraising and donation.
Yeah.
But you have a ballpark figure of where you think that will?
Yeah, so we had a discussion, it's been quite a few years ago now, and, it's a really hard ask to ask, private donors what the state should be paying for. And so, you know, it's, our asks are a lot of times for the price of services, getting transportation for people, shelter, those kinds of things. This program is a tough ask for
Okay, yeah.
fundraising donations.
It's worth noting, Mr. Chair, too, that when CBAC was alerted to this VOCA reduction, we did schedule many different meetings with our congressional delegation, state legislators, to try to get that plus back up with not a lot of luck.
They're sending their canned responses of, thank you for calling. You know, Senator or Representative Armstrong's office, we appreciate, you know, but it's just. And I appreciate the accolades, they're very gracious of how much they appreciate our work, but it's like. These are not volunteers, we are employees that have mortgages and, you know, it's just kind of frustrating, and I did express that to our state friend today as well. And maybe that will change with the election, but it's just frustrating to get their attention, and I think the bigger issue for me is VOCA is funded by litigation. So if that litigation gets reduced or doesn't happen or it gets delayed, that money doesn't get funded, and this has been a problem since 2013. It's not a new problem. It's been going down since then. So that's the bigger issue. Again, that's really outside of our control, although I'm not gonna lie, I did think about it. And should we try to go to Washington and see what we can do, but that's a really slow, that's moving the Titanic. And this is, you know, an immediate need.
Okay, well, we'll do what we can, and we'll build in with some of the leasing options. I wasn't aware of that at all, so I'm glad to hear that that's a possibility to help
You know,
you.
commodity we're looking for. We need it.
A very nice commodity.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thanks. Little friends. So you introduce yourself, I don't think I know either of you.
I'm Rachel Murphy, I'm the Director of Operations at Circle Edge.
Okay,
I'm Judy Marvin, I'm a volunteer, I used to be the CFO at Circle of Friends.
okay. All right, go ahead.
So I guess for this year, we're requesting, 25,000. Previous years for the last time.
Since 2000.
Since 2000, we've been getting about 20.
I'm sorry, what was
2020, we've been getting about $20,000. $5,000 increase, kind of cost of living, cost of everything going up. Also, you know, this year we did 252 animals. 30 of those were TNRs from the county of Grand Forks cities. And our TNR program is definitely gonna kind of be lower this year with the amount of staff not having a veterinarian on staff this year, so. I guess we will be around somewhere around the 250 mark. With, as well as each year, our intake numbers have just been increasing by about 30 to 50 animals each year, so. Estimating around 300. Or 250 times 100 per pet, it's 25,000.
What other funding sources have you got?
Well, our main funding source is for city animals. And that's, you know, the city pays us for the animals from the city, and then we rely on donations.
Okay.
And then we have a couple grants that are for specific things.
Or are these other towns, and how about the city of Grand Forks, what do they? What do you get from the city?
It's 16 something a month.
What?
About 16,500 a month. It's not quite that round of a number. But that covers how many animals a year from the city.
Closer to like 900 animals from the city.
Are you receiving any funds from the other towns in the county? Have you asked? Okay. So you do accept animals from all those various towns. Have you? Is that a big number or is that a very small number that they actually come from the smaller towns?
So outside of it's last year was 252 animals.
Okay, that's what you were talking about,
Yeah.
with that number, okay.
The majority of those animals come from like the outskirts of Grand Forks. They're like found a couple of miles outside of Grand Forks City, so it falls under the county government. And Emerita,
What?
and Emerita.
In Marino?
And Emerita.
I'm from Northwood, I haven't heard of them and sending the animals to you guys, but,
Yeah, some of the police officers will bring them in from Northwood sometimes, and then otherwise. Any citizen from Grand Forks County who lives in any of the county cities can bring strays in.
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
I didn't catch her answer to your question. Do the other towns also fund your operation?
No, not at this time,
Okay.
Just Grand Forks.
just Grand Forks.
Other questions? Anybody? Okay, anything else you wanted to, we're familiar with you, how hard you're working out there. Anything else you'd like to say, go ahead.
I mean, basically, the increase covers the fact that there is so many animals and we've been getting concerned for the animals. The number isn't going down, but the costs are going up.
Sure. Okay. All right, well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Paul, let's see if the recorder's available to come up early.
I will.
And see.
Tell them we don't have any money.
Don't bother coming, we don't have any money.
The truth.
Hi, Julie. Could you come up early? We are sitting here waiting for you. Although, we just have to have a break, and so it's like, well, we can take her. If you're available, okay, thanks, bye.
Who's coming up?
Garland,
Okay.
the reporter's coming up.
This is that one simple request.
Yeah, she just wants one position promoted in office.
So why did that have to be? Why wouldn't this just kind of fit somewhere in the budget?
Or we always bring all of them to the commissioner, if there's a promotion. I did.
Yeah, I'm going to your mail. I know it's a federal thing.
Thank you. You're going to
Or maybe.
Like reading. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Again, in the mail too, you must get.
When
So that they
they're
are
on this.
Yeah, at my home.
Rounds, we've only given 15 minutes.
Yeah, don't need extra.
it'll take more than, but this is good, that we're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
If only one, really too.
Yeah, I don't think Garland will take very long.
No.
I kept this because your letter to the editor was in that version.
Oh.
While you were asking me if I saw it.
Oh.
What did you say? I missed it.
Yeah, I didn't know you wrote into a paper.
I pretty much said everyone else is, just should be fired. It should be allowed to come in. This is when Corey sent us those questions.
yeah.
You answered his questions too. He had 3 questions.
The candidate questions.
The first question was, what's your occupation?
Ah.
Or are you retired? And second one is, what's your primary concern for the county? As if you can name one.
Right.
And I didn't. And then the last one was, why are you the best candidate to do this?
It's about time you guys get some bad press, because I'm sick of it.
What?
He wants to lay the bad press on you rather than him.
My bi-weekly quote is getting old.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming up early.
Oh, no problem. Chairman Ian and members of the board. I am here to request a reclassification of one of the positions in the recorder's office. There are 2 positions that are currently graded the same. And after losing our long-term employee last year, it was quite an eye-opener how much more the one position does than the other position. I've been working with HR in developing a new job description to capture all the duties that the position has been doing. And I have a copy of that for you too. I checked with the auditor's office to, for the cost of the reclassification, and it would be around $4,700. I also checked with the auditor's office on the salary budget because we are under budget on our salaries due to losing the long-term employee.
Sure.
So the difference between the salary for the 2024 and 25 would be around $12,500. And then I just wanted to point out that you probably noticed that there are hardly any line items for my office on the budget because I use my technology preservation fund to pay for a lot of our items out of our preservation account rather than using the county's general fund. That's all I have.
It's perhaps the easiest type of request I've ever seen, so. Anything you wanna say about it, Debbie? Sorry for what's this mean?
No, I guess the only thing I question is if she's currently doing those duties already, that maybe we need to pay her right away. And not wait.
I do have a question, Garland. So when you lost a seasoned employee, do you have the additional funds to make that move within your budget, the salaries?
I do. I checked with Colleen and because it was budgeted for her salary, which is higher than the salary of one of the people in that position. There's plenty of money in there to pay for it.
Okay. That'd be good.
So how could that be done? Has to go to the full board, that's the street.
It could go to the commission meeting on the
Next Tuesday. Yeah, let's do that next week.
July 2nd.
Yeah, that's it. It's not that complicated.
And then would Garland need to present again, or how would it look?
I think we would have a memo from Garland and
That'd be
she
all we
wouldn't
need.
need to come back again.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you guys want a copy of the job description that HR helped prepare?
We'll have that for the meeting on July 2nd.
Oh, okay.
They may want a copy now, but we'll for surely put it on the agenda for July 2nd.
If you've got copies to hand out now, that's fine. That'd be less likely to lose them. You know, put them with all of these things.
And that front page has the information on the top with the difference of the pay would be, and then the salary. Budget salary information underneath it.
Okay.
So when is it the effective?
Mr. Rustin, what did you say?
Pardon me, Mr. Chair?
This is just cracking jokes.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the question. Dave,
No.
No question.
okay.
Okay. I think I'll take care of it. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So does everyone want to take a break? Or should I call Bill and take?
I'd be cool chugging along.
Yeah. Call Bill.
I'll call Bill.
Bill.
Kathleen is. Susie. I'm still waiting.
Oh, I think she passed. Okay, I was like, I know something happened, but maybe.
Yeah.
So,
Susie.
Okay.
Yeah, never Susie. Yeah.
so Gwen is the one that's getting the request for the increase. Okay.
Yeah, I think. You're just teasing the shit.
That's
why he said that, I think. She worked.
So she's previously and currently having more jobs.
Yes, they've been able to, when the long-term employee was gone. Then the new person, it was like, oh, and Susie did this, and she did this, and she did
Yeah,
that.
because I briefly remember that when after she passed away, that conversation that we had, but I just want to make sure that was the same one.
Yes, it is, and then Garland was also able to get some information from some other counties on their structure, which is information we didn't have before. And so that was helpful, so then I sat down with her and we went through everything and then we graded the position.
Very good.
Gwen used to do like time and penny power. Yeah, I was doing.
Yeah.
No, it's ever been.
When did you work the?
Yeah, she,
Like your-
30 seasons has to fight for funds.
Which year did you do that? I worked there for 2000.
But
Seven,
the request
nine,
is
so I ran.
much brighter than all that. Or maybe, I don't know if there were.
Maybe
costs
you were
to
there
it.
when I was working. I
We
worked
didn't
in the
fund that
races or.
That's like something weird.
I think we did, but we used ARPA, right?
No, we used all our funds, but I'm saying, why would we only fund part of their request with ARPA? Why
Yeah.
would we fund all of their?
Felix was working at Cabela's
Absolutely.
and Maurice.
Yeah.
If our,
So anywhere
We're
between
covering the
2005 and
cost.
2010.
for 2024,
I can't remember exactly.
that,
But it was again.
It's such a big jump because of that. In the VOCA fund slash, and it's gonna be worse next year. So basically, every year they're gonna come with a bigger jump.
so how many people does the state's attorney need to do what?
Oh, yeah, we have this
they're required to
conversation.
do?
I-
7?
Well, was it 4 or 5? Is that what
Yeah,
you
it's
said?
5, but then there
Yeah.
was a manager too,
Yeah.
and then, so I wasn't really
But
sure.
that's just something that we're thinking about, like when we cross that threshold. As to continue to get
Right,
money,
right,
and then maybe
exactly.
it'll be, because it's, as much as I want that to stay. We have to be fiduciary and responsible with the money that we're
Right,
getting.
so we have to ask Haley, how many people does it actually take to do what you're required to do? That they're doing for you?
You Sheldon, you and Haley talk about that at one time.
Yeah,
It's gonna be like in the, mid 400,000s.
Oh, for us to do it ourselves?
yeah, for us to do it ourselves was astronomical.
Yeah, staff, equipment, training, continuing education.
benefits,
benefits, yeah.
because they're fully loaded employees, full
It
time.
was,
This happened like 5 o'clock, I was saying.
Well, let's get.
But at this rate-
Is that what the terminal?
at this rate, we're gonna eventually go.
Right?
Yeah,
Which
our
feels-
target is where she was.
Right. Okay, so it's on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then, and I just like see this, I think it's down that wing and it goes to that.
Yep, they were there originally and.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, I found them called that.
Let's see. See if I can get it, you know.
And, I think even once I do that, they would.
Yeah, my buddy from. Your letter to the editor, what is the response to those three questions or because those are the questions that were asked in the.
It wasn't the letter,
You were-
yeah,
Oh, it wasn't.
it was a response to the question.
Oh. Okay.
Instead of just saying what my primary concern was. Because
He
there's a
remember
whole
he
lot
talked
of-
about it last week, surely, they've been talking about it,
Yeah.
we were, he and his daughter were
Well,
a couple years.
Something where like.
That's not, in our, I think I may have heard that, I just got it from the letter. His daughter took Jen and Justin, so Jen and I graduated together, Justin's a year younger. And their dad, Officer Rue, came and visited with us. Like the senior, like older kids about awareness and so, yeah. It was, but he had a hard time with it because it was like finding something. I just remember that, like it was. Like it just happened.
It's, Alfonso Rodriguez that day, I was coming around by those birds. And I thought it was in the Catholic thing, the Catholic was a deputy. And, yeah, they were on the line. They had photos of Rodriguez. So, no, he was heading down for the days.
He called with me one time when I was in Frankfurt.
Alfonso.
and there was, used to have those meters kind of in the hallways, and I could see every time he started to start. So I went into her numbers and I said, there's some guy out there following me out by myself. Like, whatever, I think I was married by then, and they, she said, I'm gonna pretend you're in the dressing room. Eating different clothes, and then you sneak out the back way and get out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I forgot to say when, and it happened obviously, I was in school still, so when I went to college and worked, they wouldn't let anybody go to the run by themselves.
Yeah.
You had to sit and make your, especially good to sit and for a manager or somebody else to walk them.
good reason.
Oh,
Yeah.
that always makes me like anxious, because I have 3 kids usually with me all the time, and I'm always like aware of anybody, I'm always looking around, always looking around. Well, Steve is actually on the hunt, fire, carry first, is the one that I haven't. Pointing.
Real small.
We did something and I don't, I haven't shot myself. When I worked at Cabela's, it was something that I did a lot now. I told myself before I carry it full time with me, I need to go through such a long comfortable with it. So I just do it quickly, that's.
Morning.
So yeah,
Yes.
I said I.
Yeah, just call me whenever you.
All us retirees from the sheriff's office, every office.
Okay.
We go out to the range, we have to qualify once a year. So we can carry anywhere in the United States.
The rain yesterday.
Yeah.
I never have though, once I retired. I just don't qualify.
Yeah, I always am aware that like my sort of my kids, my kids, but it only takes a second of you to be distracted, my 2-year-old having to go down. Baby needs something and somebody gets sick, one of them, or all of us,
Here,
From my early childhood trauma, I have a lot of my awareness of danger. It is like I'm always on high peak. I told my husband that's what I'm doing.
I used to
About it.
as we drive.
Mhm.
About stranger, they
got off train.
and it was like, they don't do that.
No, but we do at our house, we have like a code
Yeah.
word, so if like Tristan is like, hey, your mom, Kimberly, cause they can find everything on Facebook or on any social media.
Yeah.
Or here, yeah, was here on the street, she said I needed to give you right away for school. Yeah, it's fine, I'm her friend.
Okay, what's the word?
What's the code word?
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't, I mean, and last
unless they, unless mom and dad are right there with you and say, this person is safe for you to go with, you do not get to look at anybody, even if you know that person.
Sure.
Even if it's so-and-so's mom from down the street, you do not get the car with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a big policy.
Yeah, they got like puppies or something. Or
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah.
It's a stranger danger for the fact that the VCR tape is still at the curious.
Oh, stuff just needs to be said.
Yeah. In fact, I'm using the right offices, I come on over the side.
Hey Cindy, did you join me?
You could have just kept.
Hey Bill, could you come up early?
You guys are gonna have to. No, we're not. gonna.
Cause we're all saying.
But it was so kind of you to get to the kids and talk.
I know, well, we're at a schedule.
They need to.
So come on up when you're ready.
It's, I mean,
All right, bye.
5 weeks ago, I had to call the cops.
Okay,
because my 2-year-old and her neighbor did, who's.
Yeah, I got on about
45. They just took off, literally, things, so, 11 seconds.
It's coming.
Yeah. 20th. Okay. I mean, my father-in-law couldn't chase him around, like, our neighbor had to like, get on a scooter himself and go. And then, so they were just, the 10 kids bouncing between 2 houses. And it took me enough time.
Bill said, we're not gonna make you wait a half an hour like you did last year.
Got a pizza and one beer.
What a whiner.
I was an neighbor.
Table.
Right. With that, and I'm like, you go out in the middle of this, stop my bike, and I started going, went all the way down to the park, the Macy, and like, so do we have everybody really fine there, and I called.
So,
After, what is it, took me all of these.
this is no society and we were.
Since he's a big, you know what I mean, since he's a big person, so, she's like, okay, and I said, we.
Second,
Right.
Yeah, tomorrow morning and started.
We were going down to 27, well, I have to busy road themselves.
You think they made this online?
And they live life is too.
It's, oh, life is great, rainbow. They're
You
just
could have a
scooting,
leash.
they're scooting, they're just.
So I called the cops, so the 2-year-old, and then hold him to that for the rest of his life.
Like, Bill, he was asking for the budget.
They won't forget that.
57. Something like
When I
that.
got there, she was like, they're so nice, and they wait for me when I asked them to slow down, and they were trying to show me their house, but every house was theirs,
Wow. So our Eagles,
We'll see.
44th. Off of 20th.
You know anything about?
They're 2 houses in.
Maybe, I don't know the folks on the farm, I'm closer to
I do know.
Columbia side,
Okay.
so like the Blake Christensen. Down on that end is probably one of the only other people that I know on that side. It's people with young families are the folks that we know very pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's enough to take care of it, so.
yeah, I was like, this is edge of the down and never seen anything.
But-
Yeah, and none of it.
Well, there he is.
Here I am.
You look excited.
Thanks for coming
Always.
early.
It's like when people say I look young, yes, it's always smiling on the inside.
Thanks for coming up early.
Sure.
Go ahead. What you need.
Alright, for the most part, most of the budget is pretty static, other than, a couple of the couple 8 line items. Total, went up by request. A number of, for various reasons, the 2 telephone line items have to do with emergency service line items on phone and, for fire alarm contact to the remote outside world, as well as our elevators. The elevator phone lines are the emergency service line costs for those have gone up, and the emergency service lines for our fire panel remote enunciation protection has gone up. And then included in that phone also is our on-call cell phone, which added to that expense of going up. So those two telephone lines both require those requested increases. On service agreements, I've requested an increase on those. The largest increase that I've gotten notice on so far has been from Otis Elevator. They have posted an 8% increase for the year already on our 6 elevators that we have. So that alone, that 8% brings us up over $4,000 on that PSA for that one vendor. I haven't received from Johnson Controls Simplex Durnell what fire protection and HVAC increases are going to be. Historically, they're about 5%, and that would eat up the majority of the rest of that increase on those PSAs, on those requests for that. Grounds upkeep, that's cost on fertilizer, lime and salt, and we spent that on salt this year, let alone finally fertilizer or lime for the grass. And then the rest are in utilities. With natural gas and water, the increases on those, we're going to need more money added to those. We're in the requests where I have for natural gas in the parking lot, the old jail water usage, the county office building, the water usage had been way down for 2.5 years. But now we're back up to not only where we were at before, but for some reason, we're using more water this year than we were last year. I attribute maybe some of that to the fact that last fall we started out really dry. This spring we started out really dry, and I had the guys watering our replant and our grass seeds a lot more. So I assume that's where most of our excessive water usage has gone, getting the grass to grow again in the spring. Fuel itself is static, and that covers utilities and the 9 line items that I went up. Otherwise, everything else stayed the same in budget requests, other than wages and overtime. I take that back. I had overtime increase as well, because it's snow removal in there. And overtime has increased both for hours with even a light snow removal year last year, and wages going up, overtime goes up. Any questions? I'm happy to entertain.
Any questions? Looker, you have a question?
Yeah. Bill, were you gonna ask for another maintenance guy? The reason I'm asking is to facilitate adding the jail and youth assessment center and maybe the sheriff's office off site somewhere.
I can speculate where that came from.
I'm just throwing it out.
Maintenance wise, we hired Avi, which he will become integrated more into the jail and juvenile detention center as it comes online. We still have the 2 out there that we've always had. What we don't have out there, which will require some consideration on this, because between adding a sheriff's office square footage, regardless of where it ends up being, of 10 to 15,000 square feet, and out there at the jail, behind detention, we don't have the concern of the custodial, because the COs and the trustees and inmates are taking care of that custodial behind detention. What we do have though is a large significant increase in footprint, with a medical facility being remodeled and added in, and the administration offices, both for juvie and for adult corrections. So we don't currently have a custodial staff member out there. What Brett and I have talked about was a custodial staff member that could be justified for a potential full-time position between what we had for square footage of 15,000 square foot roughly for the sheriff's office, and right around 30,000 square feet out at the jail. And if you do the engineered formulas on per full-time employee or custodian in an office setting, it's about 50,000 square feet per person, per full-time employee. What we have is 5 full-time custodians right now, one of them being a lead, Becky. And we are pushing that 300,000 mark downtown here between the Cobb and the courthouse. We're about 270, 280 between the two buildings with 5. So adding another 40,000-ish square feet puts us into a very thin coverage custodially if we're gonna have an expectation of maintaining those non-detention areas out there as well. So maintenance wise, it would not be a grade 8 as the maintenance techs are. I would attribute that if it was going to be considered. And Brett wanted to go to the plate asking for it financially because he likes to hold on to the purse strings. How that, how that shakes out. I mean, they fall under my guidance leadership, but it would be maintenance, it would be custodian. And it would be to cover that extra square footage that's imminently going to be taken on eventually anyways. He was the first at the plate to ask for it. That was probably gonna be a year down the road for me.
Yeah,
So.
okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Rusted, anything?
No, I do concur though with Bill, and I think Tom expressed this opinion as well, that position should probably fall under buildings and grounds simply for the fact that it adds versatility.
Okay. Anything else, anybody? Okay. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Take a look.
One thing about the positions that were requested by Brett. For 2025, the cost of those is for them to start January 1. Now, the building won't open until July. August.
No, I think Mr. Ford thought maybe, September, October of 2025.
So the cost will be much less in 2025 based on that. But you have to realize in 2026, you're gonna have the full cost.
Right, but that would only be a quarter time position.
No,
For
he asked for 13 positions or 10
Yeah,
plus
10
an
plus the-
administrative assistant, plus an custodian, plus another half time, so 12 and a half, yeah, for.
Yeah.
Well,
12 and 3.
yeah, what Bill was saying is, which Commissioner Rustin acknowledged, one more custodian that could take care of the expanded footprint in the jail, the yak, and then wherever the sheriff winds up living.
Plus he already got it,
Right,
so he has an additional work.
yeah,
There's another acronym of the yak.
the yak.
Yeah,
Sure.
don't get
Cringy.
Youth Assessment Center.
My 13-year-old is keeping me hip.
Somebody.
Don't tell him I said that.
Don't say it like that,
So, you wanna take a break and see if we can,
I thought I saw the,
Historical Society people here?
Yeah, they're here. We can-
yeah, historical, he was out in the lobby.
Rolling along.
Let's take that.
Well, let's get her done. Got a baby who doesn't wanna take a bottle. Living for like 3 hours.
You're gonna need a roll call vote on this one, Bob and Dave.
Yeah.
Bye, came early.
Here's what I have for that.
Yeah, the best one. Well, there's, oh, we have nothing. We're getting the best of it, so yeah. Yeah. That's on the Zoom. Or if they make them do it. The next, we can keep this same course, it's something touching on.
Thank you.
Anything else coming with you, Richard?
But that,
Just you, anything else coming with you?
Leah, it will show up,
Oh,
but I can start, it's okay. He wants to, yeah. I was guessing on the number, I think I'm gonna be okay. No, we're good, we're good. There's no homework, we need.
Oh, dang.
He's so used to have, giving out homework. Alright. So whenever you're ready.
we're ready.
We're ready, okay, well, thank you for inviting me, my name is Richard Ray and I am the board president of the Grand Forks County Historical Society, Myra Museum. And I handed out a little brochure here, this is what I used for our annual meeting in October, and I just sort of upgraded it a little bit and changed it. So we have a couple of things, you know, in support of our request of you folks. You know, we believe that Grand Forks, the Myra Museum is a destination point for the county. You know, you can go by there, on almost any weekend or evening and people are taking pictures, you know, and are in the area. We also think that we contribute to the, education of the Grand Forks County residents. You know, we have a school program that we use, every year. We also have our entertaining history. I don't know if any of you have ever been to that, but it's lectures that we have in the winter, usually have 5 or 6. And now we videotape those so they are online. So anybody that wants to see them at any time can just click on our webpage and up they come. And they're pretty well done. We have David Kuznicki, who is works in audiovisual for UND, and he does them for us, so they're pretty well done. And of course, the other thing that we do is we collect and preserve the artifacts and documents of Grand Forks County. And we have more artifacts than we have space, but that's sort of okay, you know, so that's what we do. Any questions on that at all, or? Okay, I'll just keep on going. So the events, you have to be asking yourself, what goes on at that place, you know? And so I sort of listed some of the things that we have. A lot of those are annual events, they happen every year, but there are a few that do not happen. For instance, number 6, Catholic Charities, did a 100-year thing with us. That's not gonna happen every year, obviously. But we believe we have a lot of attendance to these activities. We have band concerts, we have the car show, school tours, music camps. The craft ladies and the horticulture society, they use our facility on a regular weekly basis for much of the year. So it's a busy place, and we like to keep it going. We close on September 15th, but people can get tours. All they have to do after that is to call us, and we will schedule a private tour for them. So in that regard, we're open. Any questions on events at all? Okay, so when you have as many old buildings as we have, you always have maintenance. And just last night at our board meeting, we got the news that the roof of the gas station needs to be replaced. So that, you know, as things come up like that, and so the money that you folks give us, we will use to help do that. So I don't think I need to tell you folks about maintenance and budgets and all that. Because I looked through your budget before I came a little bit, and boy, oh boy, you got a big budget going on and lots of activities. And
And you fund a lot of cool things, I mean, young professionals, 4-H, I mean, I could just go on, and I was pretty impressed of all the things. I don't know if the regular, just people know all that you do. So, at any rate. Let's just go down the facility projects, last summer, we did the siding of the Myra Museum. That was a pretty big project, it was over $50,000. Was paid for by grants. The Myra Foundation has been great to us. We have an anonymous donor who seems to know when we need money, and he pitches in a lot, and like $60,000 over the last 2 or 3 years. So, now some of this stuff might seem really picky, like the water spigot, and some of that, but, again, I use these notes for my annual meeting, and so I try to be thorough. We'll go through all those. Number 4 is sort of cool. That's the monument that was along the North Dakota, South Dakota border. And Dr. Eisenminger, who's on our board, he was the main guy behind that, as far as the history part of it. And so we have that as a new display, and that's really nice. We're getting a new fire alarm and burglary system. That has been the project that never ends, because first we started with that project and they said we needed new devices, so we put in new devices. Then they said all the wiring between the buildings was shot, so now we had to trench in all new wiring. And it's still not right, so next year if I come back, I'll give you an update, but that's been a tough one. Okay, so then go through, talk about the Lustman House, talk about, we put in new air conditioners and new furnaces last year. Much of that was paid for from the Myra Foundation grant. And the school bell basically fell off, so now I had to have it repaired because the cast iron broke, so I got that part done. Now we have to get it back on the schoolhouse, but that's one of the things. And then number 11 is gas station repairs. And then 12, if you turn the page over, 12, 13, and 14 are some things. We do have volunteers that do a lot. So it isn't like we just hire out a bunch of stuff. When we had our post office project, that was about a little over $50,000 project. We had to hire professionals to do the lower part, but volunteers did the gable ends. And so that worked out really well, saved us a lot of money. Any questions on any of those projects? Okay, facility projects. This is stuff we're planning to do or in the process of doing. If you go to the museum grounds and look at the gazebo, if you go to the band concert, which is Thursday night, look up high and you'll see rust on the gazebo roof, and that's a pretty unique roof. We certainly don't want that to be damaged beyond repair, so we're gonna have that spray painted, cleaned and painted and sealed. Carriage house and garden shed. You see there's a bunch of painting projects that we have to do. We have half of an irrigation system, and it hasn't worked ever since I've been around this, so we're gonna investigate that, see if we can figure out a way to make that work again. Rain gutter covers, and then the gas station roof replacement. Any question on future projects? Okay. Again, this is what I use for my annual meeting. Lawn King donates the lawn service for us and has for years, so we always try to do that. We also give recognition to Grand Forks County commissioners on our webpage as being a steady supporter of our organization. So if you click onto our webpage, you'll see that. We're getting a little bit high tech, and that's pretty amazing for when the average age on the board is like in the 70s. And anyway, we have a few young people that are up on it, so we're zooming in our board meetings so that if a member can't make it, no excuse, they can just punch right in, and you'd be surprised, every month we have somebody that does that, they zoom in. Okay. Finances. The National Foundation gives us anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a year. That's unobligated funds we can use for whatever. And My guess is it will be used this year to pay for the fire alarm system that has exploded in cost. Myra Foundation, it averages, usually get about $15,000 from there. And of course, Grand Forks County has been kind enough to give us the 5,000 for the last several years, 4 or 5 years probably. Any questions on grants? Bob?
Does the city give anything toward the museum?
No.
They don't, you know, have you ever requested funding from the city?
So I have not, and actually, I was thinking about that, why are we letting them off the hook, we needed to go talk to them. They have, I know, have a beautification fund, maybe we could get into that a little bit, so. That would be one of my next tasks, I believe, and
I'd run with it.
I'm sorry?
Run with it. Do it.
Run with it. All right, I'll do it, all they can do is say no, right, there you go.
I've got a question.
Unbuilt, the rest of that.
Does the Historical Society in any way, shape, or form deal with the historical registry of buildings within the community?
No, we do not. No.
Okay.
We've not been part of that at all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So the levy request, under finances. Thank you to Debbie Nelson for always helping with me. I always put a little thing on there. Levy as much as you can within the limit, Hi, Leah. This is Leah Kozeski, our director. She's the heart and soul of the place, and so we started a little early, they were ready, so.
Okay, I heard your voice and I ran.
At least you didn't run away anyway, so. Okay, and then I did mention the anonymous donor that has been so kind to us. And we hope that continues. So what are our goals? We have goals that we want to do in for the future, and we'll always have to continue our maintenance because the buildings are old. And that's never gonna change. I mean, as long as but we are trying to make them, the ones that we can, that you can alter because they're not historically tied in. Like you can't do much of the post office because that is so old. But we did side the Myra Museum because that was built in the 70s, so there's no real historical, relevance there. Strengthen our education component. We've already started to do that, and part of that is we're having more entertaining history sessions in the winter, and the Zoom thing, or not the Zoom, I'm sorry, but the videotaping of them, so that's accessible for everyone at any time. And of course, we are increasing our membership, hopefully. And one of the things that we sort of reactivated, we had it years ago, but it sort of fell by the way, but this is our newsletter that goes out twice a year. A spring and then a fall, so the spring will take care of spring and summer, and then the winter one. And on the back page, you'll see membership information. And I think a lot of cool articles are in here, and it's very, in my opinion, I'm a little biased, of course, but Leah puts it together and it's very attractive and it looks nice. It represents our organization well, and then it represents Grand Forks County well. So if it looks good, and I think it does. Okay.
Can I ask one more question quickly?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Why can't anything be done with the post office because of its age?
Go ahead.
We maintain it because it's a historic building. So it's not something that you would put an addition on or whatever. We're trying to keep it original. With cedar shakes for the roof, you wouldn't put asphalt shingles on that, that wouldn't look right. We did have it rechinked, 4 years ago? It was not cheap, but the new chinking material is better than concrete. It's got latex in it, so it has a give, so it's better for the logs. So we did do that, and it's sealed up good, so we're not worried about it for now, but in another 20 or 30 years, some future museum director will have to worry about it. The Campbell House is also, it's on the National Register, so that's
restricts what can be done to the Campbell House. It also has to have cedar shingles on it. It has wood siding that has to be painted every 15 years or so, and that's just the way it is. But, they're in good shape, really. He mentioned about the Meyer Museum, so that's built in 1977. Our carriage house was built in 1986, so it has a historic character. But at some point, if we wanted to not paint it anymore and put siding on that, we could, because it's not restricted.
So the restrictions are placed by what, the National Registry?
The National Registry for the Campbell House, yes. The post office is not currently on the National Register because it's been moved several times, and so that makes it harder. We are trying to figure out an angle through that, because the benefit of being on the National Register means that you are eligible for preservation grants. And so the Campbell House is eligible for those. The old post office is not, although it's the oldest building in Grand Forks, built in 1868.
Wow. So I don't know how often are those grants given out, because our courthouse roof certainly didn't get one of those.
There you go. I think it's an annual thing. Just have to look into it through the National Park Service probably. Or talk to Susan Caraher at the Preservation Office. They've helped buildings around town get preservation assistance. There's a house on Reeves Drive, I forget the number, but it's Dutch colonial. It has that neat curved roof with the cedar shakes. That house those homeowners got a federal grant so that roof could be kept original. And I
guess it's just sort of almost off topic, but I've had multiple opportunities to list the Ockers building on that historical registry, and thank God I said no, because my project would have been 3 times as much when I replaced all the windows. So I'm just trying to figure out the process, because the courthouse dome thing is really sticking to my craw. So I'll mute myself now.
I'll mute myself now. Mr. Ray, before we quit, you handed out a couple of things for all of us. Would you give us another copy so that?
Oh, absolutely.
Rusty can have that later.
Yeah. You want? Yeah. Oh, I got put it in your file. Did you get the right one too?
No,
Well, let's get it. Yes, you can.
I got that, I didn't get
You didn't get the paddle wheel.
Okay.
Okay, so it happens, you have too much in your briefcase. All right, what do we have left?
You pretty much covered it.
Pretty much done, yeah. So we'll continue to do our grant writing and look for helpers for Leah. But those are really our goals, and that's what we do. And if there's any questions, just feel free to ask.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope. Just talk to the city.
Talk to the city.
Yeah,
Yes,
they got big bucks.
they got all the money.
Before you got here, they were asking me if we've been approached the city, and I said we talked a little bit about the beautification fund they have or whatever, but.
Well, I don't know how that runs anymore. It used to have a committee that included Steve Sagser from Extension. And they would take grant requests from organizations. Now I'm trying to find out who's deciding how they spend that money, and nobody wants to say.
So I'll look into it and I'll send you an email. How's that? So you can. Yeah.
I just wanted to, Richard, I just wanted to make sure they understood that you're not only requesting some of the $1/4 mil levy, but you also want the grant of $5,000 that's allowed under a North Dakota Century Code 11-1150.
Right, exactly. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for having us, and come by the Meyer Museum anytime.
Yeah.
Band concert Thursday night, so
Thanks for coming in.
I'll be peddling my
Married there a couple years.
propaganda.
Was you too?
They manage to out there,
All right.
we can less than Katie Arthur.
Yeah. Big market goes.
Oh, yeah, go across the street.
It's okay.
Yeah, worked out well.
Yeah. All right.
I remember we looked into that preservation grant, the most we could get was 25 grand.
I thought it was 20.
It might have been 20, and we couldn't have started work, we already had, so we were ineligible for it.
Yeah,
That's
I
what-
was too, and I couldn't remember.
Yep.
Silly was, hoop to jump through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So they want you to wait before you spend it.
yeah, you can't have started anything.
It's the rain, right? 2 is years old.
So I asked Bill if we could wait as he was filling up the 7 baby pools.
Right?
Go.
Yeah. Hold off on this for like
Yeah,
2 to 4 more months.
go get some more baby pools, Bill.
Yeah. They're pretty cheap at Walmart, I was just there. $6
Even cheaper to rough when they don't need it
$6,
anymore.
right? We're gonna auction them off after we're done with them. Try to recoup the cost. Oh, man,
Any home sale.
that's right.
Almost anything is cheaper than that freaking roof.
I was waiting for you to ask me if we could just cut it off and put it in the lawn.
Think I'm gonna get you a dome hat.
I love county courthouse domes.
That one was a tough one for me. I considered bowing out.
At least you found the mute button.
That's not like you to bow out.
Yeah, I know. I know, but oh my God. But basically, we could put our sheriff's department up on that roof, and that's
Getting
No.
taxed. That's may take
kicking a couple more million for a helicopter pad, and we'd be.
Like a pyramid pose or something. It's alright, you'll be okay. That's cheater.
There's like a drink, huh?
Well, it has vitamins in it, but I can look at that have green tea in it too, so there's a little bit of energy. Kind of too much, but there's the baby, but
What's the morning session tomorrow? Cause I just got word that somebody wants to buy one of my apartment buildings potentially and wants to see it tomorrow morning.
Doesn't say, Mark, we're not gonna start till 1:15 tomorrow, so we're not gonna have anything in the morning.
Oh, good. All right, that works. Good. Thank you. If I can sell that apartment building, you might actually catch me in a good mood tomorrow.
It doesn't have a dome on it, does it?
I sure don't, buddy.
And Red River Joint, they're doing it by Zoom.
The what?
Red River Joint, they're gonna be on Zoom, they won't be here. But if, you know, if it comes a little early.
Bump it to tomorrow.
So we have 2 recounts to do, I'm gonna do them on Thursday. Bob's gonna be there as part of the recount board, and Haley will be there as part of the recount board. It's for the Larimore City Council, Ward 2. 2-year unexpired term. No candidates, write-ins only. There were 13 votes, 2 of the people got 2 votes each, so it's tied. One of the 2 doesn't want the job, and the other, they've already sworn in into Larimore. Oh, that was premature, don't do that yet. So anyway, I have to go through the process to do the review on that, and the other one is for Niagara, city measure for publication of minutes. It was a 2 vote. There was 4 votes in Inkster, and it went 2 to 2. Oh.
That's crazy when people don't vote. Like, it's.
Well, look at the total number.
Well, Niagara, I think they only have like 53.
Hey, Bob,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the way the sun's coming in on the video footage, when you had your hands on the windowsill, you couldn't see the windowsill, so it looked like you were just flexing your muscles.
He was.
Well, yeah, you got lots, you know.
He was.
I was looking at your goal.
Yeah, I bet you were. You could name that thing after me and I still hate it.
I think what's on top of that though kind of resembles you in the scale of justice. That fabric seems to be hanging right in there. So it's gonna be around 9 o'clock on Thursday, Debbie?
So we'll start at 9 o'clock. You will need to come. We will,
They're giving like.
we'll take the oath, the clerk of court will come over at 9. We will go through all the ballots, then we will get ready, then call you in.
But yeah, here's.
And so like when we get close, I'll call you. I think we'll be done in like a half an hour. And then you'll come and then you'll take the oath and then you'll act on the
So you're
ballot.
just gonna call me at home or something or what?
Wherever you are, I'll call your cell phone.
Okay, so you're looking at what, around 9:30, 10?
Oh, no.
I like it.
We have 7,697 ballots to go through.
Oh, boy.
And then maybe like.
To look,
like two.
so there's 37 different ballot styles. We have to look for 2 of the different ballot styles in there. And they're all separated in different ways. So it may take a while to find them.
So it's.
It's
not.
I'm gonna have 6 people helping with the recount. So,
Okay, I'll be on standby, just.
yeah, I don't know exactly, and I got 2, you know, I told Billy, I hope we're done, and I was like. So maybe it's gonna be 11 and they call you, I'm not sure.
Well, on Thursday, I could be as close as the senior center, so
It was like.
Oh, cause you're over there at what time?
I go there at 10,
Oh.
but I'm usually done by 11.
Okay.
But I can leave anytime,
It looks like.
I'm not that important, I just stop
I
there.
wouldn't be interrupting lunch, you're over there eating.
I've only tried it once so far, I just haven't had time, but.
Did you go to Gary Mom's funeral?
No, I did not.
I did not get there.
I did.
How was it?
It was very nice.
I think Tom Ford went too,
He did.
didn't he?
I did not see him.
Oh, okay.
He might have been under visitation, but he was, I didn't see him at the time. Well, maybe he was there, but yeah, I saw him.
Yeah, I think believe 28 years ago.
I know.
Wow.
I have a question about this.
I don't know what I.
Their budget?
Like, well, Steve and I are still.
How's that funded?
It's a mill levy. So if you look at the mill levy sheet I gave you, it was 1.37 mils, I think. In 2023 our last levy. This sheet,
I finally got.
no, this legal size sheet.
But he felt better. It was.
Yes, that. So how is it funded? It's a separate levy. And they asked for 1.5 mils, but they give us dollars and you're supposed to make your request in dollars, so it ends up being less than 1.5. I don't know that.
That's what I'm saying, no.
Well, I'll ask them all.
So. But what's the discrepancy in there, 520 last year, now it's going to 580, 560, I mean?
How many houses do you have? So they ask for more because they want to get the 1.5 mil, so they know what value of the mill is gonna increase every year, so they ask for more. But the problem is they don't get exactly right, so they'll probably still be under the 1.5, like they were in 2023.
I know,
But why is that, why they're asking for more, because they know the value for mill going up, so they ask for more.
So
hopefully, I mean,
what does,
like, let's take.
that doesn't seem to cause us much problem.
I don't know, like that.
It doesn't-
It's a pixie stick, basically.
It's funded by the taxpayer.
Like some, doesn't.
So what would we let?
I learned about one that's.
No, we will levy whatever the dollar equals in.
Yeah,
No,
but-
yeah. But they're just.
So it's not a big problem, yeah, that's all.
No, there have been a question over the years that, why are we funding them? We don't get anything from them. But now I think times have changed because they say, oh, they're gonna repair dams. We need them for recreation. So.
The water board?
The Red River Joint Water Resource Board,
Yeah.
it's always the question, like, you know, we spend a lot of money and the county doesn't get a lot back. But now it's like, I think the water board is supporting them now, and the past was kind of, they weren't. They didn't wanna say it out loud, but they didn't really think we were getting what we should. But now I think we're going to.
Even like, from when I see it's changed, it was only a few years.
Oh.
What have we been giving young professionals?
Oh, that's what they asked for now.
Why are they coming in?
And they were only.
We asked them always, do you agree that we should continue to do so? I mean, we.
Yeah, I think.
Did they come in last year at all?
No, there should have been last year.
I don't think they came yet. They were on the.
Yeah, we don't always have them come in, people coming in, but we thought we would like, you hear from them, it's just.
Just
Well, I hope they show up. I'm just sitting here waiting for.
I just opened up, okay.
Are these folks gonna come in?
They're not, yeah. They'll be on, we have a recording.
They'll be on.
They'll be, yeah, it's a professional here.
Yeah.
And right where Joy will be on Zoom.
Continue it, yeah, phone calls for stay on places about like. As I was a business owner, like I need a tax break of $25,000. I mean, paid employees at least 2 years.
You guys didn't have anything you do downstairs anyway, right?
Oh, no, nothing. I have to finish my election, I have to get ready for the recount on Thursday, I have.
Is there a recount?
Yes,
Covered. It's
What's-
there's 2 races that I have to do a recount for on Thursday, and one is for Larimore, Ward 2, City Council, unexpired 2-year term. Write-ins only, 13 people voted.
Yeah.
Individual got 2 votes each. One person doesn't want the job, didn't wanna be written in, the other one took the job, they gave him the oath before the results were final. Hi,
Oh, I was told to be here at 3:45.
yes, we'll take you now, yeah.
Alright.
So are you the only one or anybody else coming with you?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I'm happy to talk to the county commission. What a privilege.
So is anybody joining you?
No, just myself, yeah,
Well,
just myself.
We're ready for you.
Yeah, so budget hearing request for the county of Grand Forks to continue supporting
And what's your name?
Oh, sorry, I should introduce myself. My name is Sam Jensen. I'm the executive director of the Greater Grand Forks Young Professionals, Jensen, Jenson, oftentimes confused EN at the ending of my last name. I've been the executive director of DGFYP, since I graduated UND in, January of 2022. And our organization, serves the community, in the aspect of workforce retention. So our main goal as an organization is to convince people to stay in Grand Forks. So our priorities are to get people involved early on. Our large priority would be to get people involved while they're still students at UND or Northland Community Technical College, while they're serving their country at the Grand Forks Air Force Base. And then when the time comes for them to make a decision, do I want to move to Bismarck? Do I want to move to Fargo, Minneapolis, wherever it might be? Hopefully, it's their involvement in our organization that convinces them to stay right here in Grand Forks or East Grand Forks. And how we do that is we have 3 events every month through our 3 committees. I'm just getting ready to go into a volunteering event. If I had known it would have been this formal, I would have thrown on a button-up shirt and some dress pants. So I apologize for my informality during this meeting. So our 3 committees that we have are social events, community involvement, and professional development. And the whole idea behind our organization, like I said, is workforce retention. If we can get people connected to career opportunities, if there's student internship opportunities, then that increases the likelihood of them staying in the region. And then also on the flip side of that, just the social importance of getting people connected and increasing their social networks as well. If you have a group of people who you can go and hang out with and watch the Stanley Cup Game 7 with together, then the chances are more likely that you're going to stay in Grand Forks as opposed to moving to some other community. So the Grand Forks, the County of Grand Forks supports us to the tune of $500 every year to be a small business corporate sponsor of GGFYP. And the benefits that the county receives in return is that all of the employees are able to register as members of our organization at no cost to them. So this is opposed to a company like Starbucks, for example, which is not a corporate sponsor. Their employees would have to pay a $60 annual membership fee. So essentially, it's an additional benefit that you're able to provide to your employees to help them get more connected to their community, help make an impact through volunteering and meet new people. So $500, other benefits that our corporate sponsors receive at that $500 level are the ability to post open job positions in our newsletter. Our newsletter gets sent out every Monday at noon, and we have a reach of about 1,200 people that gets sent out to. So oftentimes, traditionally, it's someone who's in the human resources department will reach out to me via email and say, hey, we have this position open. We would like to promote it in your newsletter. We'll let you know when to stop.
So we give $1,000 a year, but anyway, do we do that? Do we put our open positions in your newsletter?
I'll go ahead sometimes, and if there's open positions, I'll use the North Dakota, thank you for the correction, by the way, on the sponsorship level. I'd like to amend my previous statement. Thank you, Ms. Nelson, for the correction. I'd like to amend my statement to $1,000 on an annual basis. I apologize for my informality of this meeting. But what I'll do is I'll look at the ND Workforce Job Service website. So nobody has formally reached out to me from the county, but we do still promote open positions. I'll just pull it from that website and throw it in their newsletter.
Do you think we should contact you to do that, or you're good with what you're doing?
I'm good with what I'm doing, but if there's a position that is of particular urgency from the county.
In my department.
If there's something of urgency, then yes, I would love to have a point of contact to reach out to, and they can get in touch with me on a weekly basis.
Now, you said something about being a corporate sponsor. Do the people who are working for the county know that they are able to join a YP for free?
Yeah, I'm happy you asked that. So part of how we communicate the benefits to our corporate sponsors, hi Tom, is that I will send out a monthly video update to our corporate sponsors. And as of right now, my point of contact through the county is Tom here. So I'll send him a video, and in that video, it'll be like, if you're viewing this, chances are high that you're employed by one of our corporate sponsors. This means that you're able to register as a member at no additional cost to you. Here are the 3 events that we have later this month for you to participate in. So as of right now, that's our strategy, but I would be more than willing to take it to the next level. And if there's an all-staff meeting, or if there's departmental meetings that you would like me to attend to promote GGFYP to your guys' staff, those are all options that are available for us to promote our organization.
Good.
Do we know how many employees are active in the YPs?
Not off the top of my head, but I can pull that from a list, and I'd be happy to share that with you guys in terms of how many people are actively signed up as members. And then I'd have to look at the list and determine how many of them are actively involved. Off the top of my head, I know Gracie Leon is pretty actively involved in most of our events on an intermittent basis.
Some other only young person,
I was gonna say, what's the age again, isn't it?
Well, I'm happy you bring that up. So with GGFYP, we don't define young in terms of age, but rather mindset. So each and every one of you guys qualifies to be a young professional within our organization. I encourage you to check out our events and engage with our members so they can learn more about the great work that you guys do.
I think it was in the YPs when you could only be in the YP, like 30 and under or something, and I got too old.
Yeah,
Like you said, the age limit was when I finally bowed out. That was the ceiling.
Tom is the moving ceiling. So each birth year, we have to amend our bylaws for that.
Some of the other benefits that they provide us is like continuing education and some recruitment and things like that they can provide that HR just doesn't have time to do, so it's been another nice benefit for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Through our monthly lunch and learns and dinner learns, we'll focus on topics such as personal finance. In regards to, you know, the workforce retention efforts, we'll have a first time home buyers course, you know, so the YPs who are looking to enter the home buying market will be able to come in here from a real estate agent and a mortgage lender, learn more about the process of how to buy a home and set their roots right here in Grand Forks County.
Okay, any questions? Nope. Commissioner Rosted?
That's right.
No, sir, I have no questions.
All right,
It's hard when you're on your phone.
anybody else? Okay, thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you guys for your time today. I appreciate it.
River joint is on.
Oh, good.
Perfect. Keep it.
Easy song for you, yeah.
We can tell.
We'll move on to the last one, the Red River Joint Management. I see you're on the Zoom. Are you ready to talk to us? There we go.
Good afternoon. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Sorry, my camera, I don't know if it's showing me very well. There it is. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Melissa Hinkmeyer and I'm the secretary for the Red River Joint Water Resource District. Our budget request is the same as it has been for several years now as far as the mill levy. So generally the Red River Joint Water Resource Districts levies anywhere from 0 to 2 mills based on the county. So our Red River Joint Board is made up of 14 different member counties in the Red River Basin, all the way up from Pembina area down to Richland County and over to Sargent and Ransom and everywhere in between. So we have 14 different counties, so our budget request this year is 1.5 mills. In Grand Forks County, that rounds out to $560,980. Last year was also 1.5 mills, but we always get the mill value from the auditor's office there. So last year it equaled out to $520,545. So it is a slight increase, but that is just based off the value of the mill in Grand Forks County. I'd be happy to discuss more about the Red River Joint Board if you'd like to know our benefits of being part of the district. Or any other questions you might have about us, I'd be happy to answer those for you, but I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'll stop there if you have any questions or comments.
Anyway, you go something, not to say?
Say, Melissa, maybe you could tell the board what projects you have for Grand Forks County coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So how our board works is we provide cost share, which is, so anytime there's an eligible project, generally they are retention projects. The counties can apply for cost share through a Red River Joint Board, and we generally provide 65% of any non-state and non-federal remaining shares. So that'd be the local share. Will cover generally 65% of those costs. So I have a list here, and we sent out a list of projects with the budget request as well. But over the years, Grand Forks County has specifically benefited from a lot of projects related to dams in Grand Forks County. So Upper Turtle River dams. We funded emergency action plans for those. And we also funded some other watershed studies like in the Forest River watershed and some other projects related to those Upper Turtle River dams. Those are direct benefits. Some indirect benefits that Grand Forks County would also benefit from would be things like LiDAR tool updates. So we worked with the International Watershed Institute to update some tools with with new LiDAR data that the state collected. And so anybody in the Red River Basin can go on their site and for free, look at their tools. They have a lot of really neat tools like elevation data on there, and you can kind of make channel profiles and a lot of different things on there that is really useful for anybody in the county. Another really great benefit was also the ENDON stations. So the North Dakota Ag Weather Network, Daryl Richardson, he runs that through NDSU. He has a bunch of all weather stations in the Red River Basin, and we funded many of those, probably around 24 of those stations. So those will help a lot with flood predictions in the spring, because they measure snow water equivalent and snow depth and all kinds of good things there. So those are other tools that we have provided funding for and that kind of benefit everybody in the basin here. Otherwise, I don't know if you have any other questions. Those are just kind of a high level of what that money goes towards.
Any questions? Fair amount of detail here that's helpful. Commissioner Lester, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Anybody else? Anything? All right, well, this is very helpful. Anything else you want to say?
Nothing else, just thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to meet you guys and kind of explain more about benefits of the Red River Joint Water Resource District, and we look forward to continuing for years to come. So if you want us back here next year, just let us know and we'll be back to update you on some other projects we've been doing.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Great, we're done for today.
We're finished.
And you said we do not have a morning session?
We don't. So we'll start here at 1:15 tomorrow.
1:50.
Okay, I'll probably join by Zoom.
So what, 1:15 till when? Sorry, I lost my.
The last one is at 2:50.
Oh, that's not, okay.
Well, yeah.
Maybe let's do that.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, and you. Well, we may have. to take the first one. The card.
It's been a good day.